Have you ever felt?
Are you listening?
Today's vlog is about friendship, relationships, and also about treating hip impingement. I'm really bad at maintaining social relationships apart from work, trying to do some meditation, exercise, and spending time with my son. I don't do much else outside of that. And I'm very fortunate and very blessed to have some amazing people in my life who will always take out their valuable time to come over and see my son and spend some time with me. Friendships are really important. There's an old saying that the 5 closest people to you are a reflection of the kind of person you are. And so picking the right people around you is very important to the outcomes you have in life. There's a lot of negative people out there, and there's a lot of people who will try to bring you down, tell you you're not good enough, who will slander other people, and this type of negativity will bring you down and will keep you from achieving your goals. Relationships should be ones that help you to achieve your goals, and they should be mutually beneficial. So everyone has goals, things that they want to achieve in life, and effective relationships should promote you achieving those. One of the guys behind me messages me every day to ask me if I've done my meditation, and on days when I feel lazy or on days when for whatever reason I don't do it, I have some accountability to somebody to make sure I stay on track. And that's what friendship's about. It's about helping each other progress and helping each other be better people. If you've got people in your life who you feel are bringing you down, it's very difficult to control the people you have in your life, but one thing you can control is who you choose to spend your time with. If you weed out all the people who are bringing you down and adding negativity, or as many of them as you can, what you'll be left with is people who are positive and who help you in order to achieve the best out of your life that you can. Life is short, so we've got to try and make the most of it. So let's meet these special people. Does anyone want to say anything to the YouTube world out there?
Yeah, come and eat everything.
Bhagat Singh, would you like to say anything?
He's like, I lost my food.
Go on.
There's 2 main types of tasks in the garden in relation to basic maintenance: cutting the grass and trimming hedges. In terms of trimming hedges, there's a few key pointers that if you take into account, you'll make gardening a lot safer process, as a number of people do get shoulder and lower back injuries from gardening. The first rule of gardening is to keep the load close, and what I mean by that is if you're using clippers or if you're using a electric hedge trimmer, then when you're operating the hedge trimmer, you want to keep it as close to your body as possible, as opposed to reaching out in order to trim the hedge. That's very important, as the further load is away from you, the more stress and strain there is on your body, and that applies to everything. So you don't want to be reaching up too high or stooping down. You want to get to the level of what you're trying to cut or trim, and then you want to keep the trimmer close to you as opposed to outstretched, so your body is more powerful and there's less strain on your body from operating the machinery and the resistance of the hedge. The second rule is to keep a stable base. So if you're on a ladder, ideally, in order to get to high heights, or if you're standing on the surface, then you want to make sure that you have a stable base on that surface. One, so you don't fall off a raised surface, and secondly, so that even if you're on the floor, if you're getting in awkward type of twisting motions or coming off on one foot in order to reach, you're more likely to get injuries. And the third rule is to keep the spine in line, and what I mean by that is if you've got this bag here, and if I'm filling this bag, then if I'm sitting in a squat position, then I can pretty much have both hands free and keep my spine relatively straight. Even if I flex forward, my spine is still relatively straight. If I stand up and do the same thing, then I end up stooping and my back is now curved, so I lose that S-shaped curve in the back. So I want to try and maintain that curve, so I want to hinge from my hips, and in order to do that, in order to fill this bag and get to that level, I'm going to need to get close to the bag, keep a stable base, and then I want to try and keep the load close. The same works for cutting the grass, keeping the load close, keeping the lawnmower close, keeping your spine in line, so making sure the lawnmower is set to the right height so you're not having to stoop, and keeping a stable base, so make sure that the surface you're working on is prepared prior so that you don't have trip hazards and the surface isn't so uneven, and if it is, then take a bit of extra care. Some athletes find that they get some pinching sensation in the hip, especially with larger athletes, or it could be a catching sensation, so they're walking along or they're getting up and they feel their hip suddenly lock. If you're getting those types of sensations, if you're getting those types of sensations, there's a potential. If you're getting those types of symptoms, there's a potential for hip impingement, which is when the hip joint is getting irritated on a movement and the muscles as a result are going into spasm. One thing that you can do to relieve that is get a resistance band tight to an anchor and distract the leg. So here, I placed the resistance band around my foot several times. Once that's in position, I can now pull myself back as far as I can and then extend the leg. Once you're set up in the correct position, you should feel a gentle pull on the end of the leg, and that's all you need to do. You hold that position for 5 minutes and just gently breathe into it. Once you release the resistance band, you should feel your hip feels looser and the resistance and amount of catching that goes on in the hip reduces significantly. Do this every day for 5 minutes in order to relieve the symptoms of hip impingement. ਭਗਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੌੜੀਆਂ ਚੜ੍ਹੀਆਂ ਸੀ?